yesterday at dinner. So the preconceptions we have about teams may not entirely be true, so we have to wait and see just how prominent these two teams are going to end up being on this map. Let's take a peek because we're already into the bands here with Dokkaebi and Flores being our two attackers to be knocked out.
Yeah, die down those guesses and everything else you're holding dear and close to all of these teams, because all of it, for the most part, really doesn't mean that much unless you're looking over to the likes of Team Liquid. But even given the fact that we've had this amount of time, things could have changed. I mean, they were terrible at Skyscraper. That's what ended up losing them the Yongshiping Major when they ended up getting stopped not only in the semifinals by W7M, but also by BDS on the same map in the finals. That could be something they worked on. You know, we could see that later on down the line, just have that in the back pocket and worked on that the last couple of months. But that's the beauty of SI. Not only is it our biggest tournament of the year, but it's where we get to see all the new bread and butter, all the new toys, see what everybody is getting up to with their rosters. And what better way to do it than this matchup that we have on our hands. We already had the new form G2 earlier today, which Fabian got his first big dub as a coach on international stage, so pretty cool stuff. But now we have to see if Citizen and the Soniqs can get it done with his new addition.
Talking about seeing those new toys, unfortunately, the newest toy not coming out to play on this map specifically. Soul is already banned out, which is something that we kind of expected to see, especially coming from the Sonic side. There's been a lot of talk at NA about specifically about how this operator was really going to be kind of taking over the defensive side and meta, how teams, I saw at least one coach tweeting, like when she first came out, for instance, that like you need to run her on a roster, like you're doing something wrong if you're not picking her up. Curious to see if that's still going to be the philosophy for quite a few of these squads now that we've made it a few months later here to SI. But getting started with our first map, not going to see her in play. Alongside that, Malusi also getting banned out there by Team Liquid.
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if she's not the most banned operator on defense of the entire tournament, and that's just because of how volatile she is to the drone game of the offense. That's the most important thing to do on offense, get that information for your teams so you can try and coordinate things and make sure you're successful by the end of the round. Sola, she counteracts, thwarts quite a bit of that, actually, especially in the initial prep phase. A lot of people forced to have their drones outside rather than inside, someone that could be cutting off a rotation or find you some solid information on what the reinforcement setup would look like. She's going to get rid of all of that due to her scanner being able to see all of those electronics. And that's even past drones as well. If somebody's on a camera, if there's an electronic outside that happens to be something that isn't a drone, she sees all of that. So definitely quite a potent operator that has been put in quite recently.
So Liquid already on the board here and starting to prowl throughout the map. Interesting initial site choice coming in from the Soniqs as well as they go downstairs for the kitchen hold instead of our usual expected choice of going towards either AVG or, of course, the area which they are starting to breach into now up here by Statuary, as well as Trophy across the hallway here. A bit of work needing to be done, of course, just to get access to Trophy and start establishing those top-down angles onto the actual site down below. And Rexon stands in the way of this prominently with quite the setup to assist him here. You can see the wall's been double reinforced with the electric batteries coming out from Citizen there. And a few other teammates in the area able to potentially swing around and support him if things get a bit too hot, too. Speaking of which, might be approaching that part of the game here as now we see Resets working his way in and immediately pinching out Rexon, preventing any effective play coming out from his position there.
Sonic's pretty stretched on this top floor. They still have Gunnar over inside a vault, but he's quickly getting gunned down by Ask. A big explosion there. I believe that was a Nitro cell out of the defender, and it will be from Gunnar trying to make some new angles to assist in this gunfight. But it's going to be Resets that actually has the assist for Ask. They'll take out the man inside of AVG, make their life a little bit easier for this top clear. Remember, it is kitchen, so this is all going to be on Palu trying to break up this flooring and making it difficult on these anchors.
Very effective top clear overall from Liquid, though. Soniqs just did not seem to have the right read on that, either from Rexon or Gunnar's POV. Just getting flanked out. They're only having the half HP returned onto Nesk in the process, and that might be unrelated as well. Citizen going to take the next bit of damage here as he tries to scurry back to the depths of the actual site here, approaching the final minute of play. Sonic's going to have to hope that the setup inside of the site and across the hall into living room is going to be enough to hold off the full brunt of the force from Team Liquid, but I'm not sure if it will end up being the case. Liquid's been very calm, very calculated with this round so far, and has made very few mistakes as a result of that. So all the pressure right now is on the Soniqs.
Liquid measured in their approach. And as you said, you can tell just by their cadence, the way they're carrying themselves. This drone game initially, finding the gaps in the defense that they so desperately needed. But now the Soniqs, they're able to step up to the plate. And Citizen's going to make good on his promise when he joined this team. Not dead just yet. He's going to start off strong with one frag. Grixer will go down to Ask, though. That's going to make this a 2 versus 4. They've got full accordance, full capability to try and put this plant down. But Geo will go go down as well. Lagonis now stepping up. Citizen all alone. He'll get one, but can't try and seal the deal from the Tetris position. Way too many Liquid bodies, and they use that to their advantage. First round, Liquid.
Yeah. Fortunately, that all calls back to what happened earlier on in the round. If Citizen had a few more bodies to potentially trade out from on his teammates' side of things, might have been able to make that situation work, but just not enough connecting outside of the site there, and especially when it came to the early roam game. So Liquid has a massive advantage built up just within that first minute or two of play. Could have called him McLaren like 720. You know,
I mean, dude, he is
around the track.
Dude, he is a P1. I could see that. A McLaren P1 because Citizen is cleaner than some shirt shoes. There you go. We got a good little fly or Starboy reference there. Flyboy, my goodness gracious. Everyone's going to hate me for my weekend references this week. But either way, guys, we have delayed long enough. We're back into the game. We actually have some quality content to talk about, minus everything else we've been delaying. For Liquid up 1-0 for those that are just joining us. And Liquid having a pretty straightforward round as they attack Kitchen on that first offense. Taking it to the Soniqs, dwindling down their numbers quite handedly on the top floor. And then finally able to take down Citizen as he was a lone member inside around Tetris.
Right, well, let's get into it here, see what exactly the Soniqs will be trying to trip off Liquid with at the beginning of this round. We saw it previously when they were holding downstairs, of course, in Kitchen, trying to deploy up into the other side of the map over here on the inside of Trophy and Statuary, just unable to play around the very coordinated initial take from Team Liquid, where two of the members of the Soniqs were immediately caught, really without a proper chance to respond to it, as well as both of them were caught in the middle of a transition. So going to be trying to avoid that same fate this time here on the second round. As we get back into it here, and Soniqs play things a little bit closer towards the chest, and as well, a lot more utility coming out for them to use, such as these drones here from Gunnar as well, try and spot some of these pushes a bit earlier on.
A little DPEC page there coming out. Some people looking over at the Koi book and going, huh, well, yokais are pretty cool, aren't they? And you can drone on defense and assist your roamers. That could be pretty useful, especially with the fact that if I do keep a yokai alive the entire time, I can probably stop the plant. So yokais working their way back in. Echo could be something that we see come to fruition a little bit more often here at SI. We saw him a handful of times in Yongchiping and definitely had some impact, but could be one that we see benefiting quite a few squads, especially if used correctly. Remember, DPEC, one of the best in the business when it comes to that. At this point, I'd say it's him and Redeemer for the all-time best Echo players when it comes to Siege, so we'll see if anybody else can try and throw their name in that hat.
Play continuing to evolve here, but quite slowly, as Liquid not finding that early pick or two as easily as they would have been able to on the previous round here. The Soniqs as well choosing to not play directly into that type of clear. Liquid, of course, trying to take priority downstairs first and is able to get full control down there without too much of an issue. Soniqs not trying to play into that too heavily this round anyway. Now it's about the transition, of course, into Study, as you were seeing one player on repel from Liquid a second ago get access to the door, as well as transitioning up that main stair that becomes the next hard point here for Liquid to breach.
And here's that big issue, like we were talking about. Liquid, they love to take their time on this offensive end, but if the Soniqs don't get in front of them too early and they're able to slowly let Liquid into the map, then Liquid now has a problem. We need some serious entries, and this is where it starts, but Citizen's going to immediately fire back. Some nice cannon fodder there on to Ask. He'll keep things equal as he's holding it down in Library. Remember, this site is upstairs. This is a full roam here for Citizen, just trying to make sure that the Soniqs are able to stave off Liquid long enough to make this round pretty complicated. You can see Nesk now trying to look for another kill down low. Grixer's going to reposition here. I love the timing play. Wants trying to lay things out. Has the angle here. Nesk could be in some hot water, and that's the big issue. That gun model, when you're ADS like that, so hard to try and see anyone on those downward angles. So now with 20 seconds remaining, Liquid has to try and hop too.
Nicely done by the Soniqs on this round, immediately flipping the script against Team Liquid here and making that slow play work into Soniqs' own advantage instead here. Palu will finally get at least one down against Grixer. Gunnar also being taken out too, but Rexon's already traded that back out against Resets. Lagonis, of course, as you've probably noticed, already down here. So Palu, the last player remaining, and is not going to be able to stay in it for that much longer. The immediate traded round comes out from the Soniqs, and we are now tied up 1-1.
And actually a little interesting tidbit there as well. If you guys remember, Citizen giving Palu a little crap at the very beginning, going like, hey, I'll see you at the very end of the round. And
to be fair,
and there you go.
He's popped off 2 rounds in a row now, so he has not been wrong about that in any degree.
It's very true. It's very true. Citizen and Palu both meeting each other at the end of the round. It seems to be that those two might be the ones gatekeeping each other for these rounds throughout the rest of the map and the rest of this series, depending on how it goes. But Citizen definitely not missing his mark when it comes to changing teams. Gets another kill under his belt on top of the other 2 that he had from the first round. Just remember, folks, we had a rehost, so all of those kill numbers from the first round gone. So just be aware that the stats afterwards from CGG will look a little bit different than what you're seeing on your screens.
Sonic will now try to directly defend over on the other side of their previous site. We're going to be over here inside of Trophy Stature. Of course, they tried to defend below this back on round number 1, so they already have some experience playing an extended game in here, and they have seen how Liquid wants to approach this when there's not a heavy defense set up on it. Of course, much more resources are going to be expended by the Sonics this time to reinforce this site, so we're going to see a bit more of a creative approach from Team Liquid this time. We can already see that by some of their repicks here. The Ying being busted out so they can take hot control over and more than likely bedroom side and the eventual site play as well. We've also got that Gara hook coming out for resets also to maybe give us some fun action. Oftentimes though, just to prep everyone, more than likely it could just end up being for the comfort pick of the gun if we don't see the Gara hook find any place to really be used on this round.
Also, just past that, kind of a scary noise as well. Even if it's just used on a random window, when you hear a Gara hook, it's like PTSD. You're immediately just sent into shock and really don't know what to do until you find where she is. So it could be a little bit of a, side move there from Liquid, something that's just to distract. But the more and more that we're getting this offense put together, the more and more it looks like resets might be flying in via Astro here. Might be trying to take some fights over inside of Bathroom. You can see this fantastic camera placement. And that's one you normally don't get when it comes to this site, just because you have so many people rolling around. The only way to get up there is, well, via 2 ways, the flag or the boxes. And, well, this time it's going to be the rope, and it's going to be in for resets. He's got a frag. Rexon will take down Ask, but resets, he's got a lot more to do. The stuns will stun him out. The Sonics, they fought back. They've taken down Nesk. This top floor hold, it's going well. Resets will finally be able to gun back, though, and it'll be a 2 versus 2 somehow after all of that action.
The Gara hook play paying out in huge dividends right now, as it is the only advanced position that Liquid can seemingly hold on to here. Resets still in the fight as he takes on another challenger and is brought down to just a sliver of HP. Now the only active defender as Lagonis has to go down for the plant. Should be able to get it out without too much of an issue. And there we go, the plant now down. The timer ticks in the other direction, and now the pressure's on for the Sonics instead. But here comes Citizen. Citizen's had the pressure on him twice. Hasn't seemed to balk at it yet, but this time goes down with no damage returned for it. Everything falls to Geo in the clutch down for the 1v2. Can't even get the first target as the assist comes in from Lagonis at just the right timing to lock it in for Liquid instead.
All right, Liquid, they're bearing some teeth here, able to get inside on a pretty action-packed round there. Look at the timer, 2 minutes left on the clock. Reset's already gunning down people with the SMG-11. What a masterclass on how to use that pocket sniper. Such a good gun when it comes down to it. And, well, looks like Liquid will be able to take another round here on the offense. Sonics, they're starting to get some legs under themselves, though, keeping the numbers very, very close. Although that did get down to a 2 versus 2, though, Liquid still able to take it just by the skin of their teeth.
This is very quickly turning into a game of which team can adapt around the other better. Liquid realizes their mistake from round 2. They were playing things too slowly, giving Sonics far too much time to read their setup and counteract it actively with their roam game. So instead, they take a bit of a risk. They still play heavily into their own drone game on the 3rd round here for Liquid, but they emphasize getting in, especially for resets there with that Gara hook and making sure they find impact early on in the round. Then resets does that in a huge way, giving Team Liquid so much control, which they're eventually able to utilize to take control, get that plant down, and deny the retake from below that Sonics tried to go for.
Yeah, I mean, that round does not happen without the drone placement and the way that Sonics positioned themselves as well. That drone placement inside of Astro was astronomical.
The only reason why Resets has the confidence to go for a play like that, otherwise that's suicide.
It is.
10 out of 10 if you don't have intel there.
Yeah, because then you don't know if anybody's playing behind Astro Desk or not. And that's the key thing there. If he flies in that window, that's the first person that's going to fight him. So he was able to recognize that no one's there. And the other player, well, they're inside a bathroom. So you throw some stuns, and a Gara hook all of a sudden isn't that loud in comparison.
I think they masked it by throwing one of the Ying grenades at the same exact time.
I think they threw it in the master window.
That's why the bathroom player didn't even notice that it happened, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
that was really
fantastic.
well played by the Liquid roster as well.
Yeah, I love that kind of play when it's kind of those, those throw-off things, those little feints with noise or whatever. That's my favorite play style when it comes to Siege. Being able to fake somebody out, get him thinking that you're going to peek a different angle or make a different move, and then all of a sudden you're right on top of them, and they have no idea. You get that big kill, you get the round. That's what we see out of Liquid, especially from that Gara hook play. We don't get to see them all that often, but man, when they pop off, it is surely some fun. a minute down on this, and Liquid, as to be expected, have slowed things down quite a bit. Ask, well, he's traveled into a black hole, which happens to be the basement, and he's looking to come up the red stairs right now. A nice little angle being held there from Grixer, just a sixth sense, though. They have no idea that this guy is here. Just seeing if anybody would potentially roll on up that stairwell and give him a kill.
Both teams slowing it down to a pretty tremendous degree for this round. Liquid with good reason to, given what happened on the previous one. Yeah, they put the right foot forward, but they lost a lot of players in the early take aside from resets. Oh, wasn't the most effective round. Ask, though, gives us a very effective headshot here. Slams Grixer out of this round here. He will go down. The Azami along with it here. And Liquid once again take the early advantage as a result of it.
Well, Grixer, highest rating at Yangshiping when it came to playoff players. Second highest for the entire event at a 1.23. Top was a 1.33. But so far, not so good for him. 1-3. Don't believe he benefited all that much in round one either. So Soniqs are reeling now. The good news is, though, they've wasted so much time when it comes down to it. 50 seconds remain for Liquid to hop to. They have all access to every portion of the map that is important to them, though. Not gonna have the sledge here to really try and create any verticality. That's why we do have the breaching charges on Palu, trying to break up some of the electronics down low with that scanner as well. And IQ, a little stronger, trying to dodge out some of those C4s as well. Gio, he'll be able to trade himself out. He'll go down to a 3 versus 4, and it's gonna be onto the utility game here. 2 nitros in the pockets now make it 1 after Citizen uses his, but it'll fall on deaf ears.
Explosive timing just way off there for Ask as the screen gets shook to heck and back as he tries to work his way in there. Not able to read into it appropriately, and the rest of the execute as well just falls to pieces right before our very eyes here. The Soniqs finally getting a shutdown on the defense now to swing things back in the other direction and tie us up once more, 2-2.
That round right there from the Soniqs was extremely, extremely well done. And it's really just up to the way that they were able to delay time past the death. Team Liquid really didn't have it in the cards to be able to go back through the site and figure out everybody's position. So they had to try and send it and see what they could do. And that gave, well, the benefit over to the Soniqs. They were able to try and position into some more risky situations, kind of like what we saw over there in China, right next to the door there for what I thought was Grixer, but I do believe it was Gunner actually sitting in there. But yeah, that makes it to where Liquid doesn't exactly know where the positions are from the Soniqs. They know they're somewhere in the site, but that's really where the buck stops, and that's what punishes them as well. So it's going to be 2-2 here as Soniqs able to stay neck and neck with our runners-up from Yangshiping.
2 rounds left to go, so let's find out as the Soniqs once again bring a nice adaptive play to the table. And they're now going to be able to return to a site which they have already closed out on as well over here on the inside of AVG. This is where they adjusted in round 2, pulled things back, played a lot closer to the chest. Very similar to what we saw in the previous round as well. So no reason why they wouldn't play it differently. They also had this great pinch in the first floor stairs entranceway, mainly employed by Citizen as well as Geo playing it from the staircase, blocking off access from the main entryway with the smoke grenades as well. So expect something very, very similar to be deployed here. However, Team Liquid are bringing something very, very different, potentially to counter this one out.
Yes, indeed. This might be a rare occasion for you actually see Glaz with frag grenades, because usually you're trying to be self-efficient with smokes, but this is team play here. This is high coordination. We're not paying these people to have fun, all right? We're paying these people to win video games, and that's what this lineup is designed to do. But via Glaz and, well, Capitao and Monty, that's why you see all of those smokes on them, minus obviously Capitao. He's got the smoke bolts, which are even cooler because Wamai is the only person that can try and deal with those. So look to Rexon to try and thwart that game plan. But the key thing here for Liquid is going to be keeping that veil up, keeping the shroud there until Glaz can capitalize. If you use that rifle too early, they're going to know exactly what's going on, and, well, the round's practically over. I wouldn't say it's just done just yet, but that right there. Yeah, Ask going down initially, not the biggest of deals. I mean, it's definitely a problem, but my goodness, Soniqs, they are taking it to Liquid. They didn't even get a chance to really get in the building. The first footstep right here into this door is an immediate nitro cell to the feet of Liquid.
Obviously, the setup is impressive from the Soniqs, but just the raw aggression and how well it works from the Soniqs is the more impressive part for me. Some of these players just swinging the angles and absolutely slamming the heads off of Team Liquid players here. But once again, a lot of mastery built up to that point, too. You saw the nitro cell from Citizen, and he's going to come in one more time for the final kill as well. Away from that as well, more players just setting themselves up with proper utility. While it may not have guaranteed a kill outright, it does set them up for it. And indeed, we saw Team Liquid just get set up for failure time after time again on this this round, playing directly into the hands of the Soniqs, now giving them the lead here at 3-2, heading into the final round of the first half.
Yeah, the Soniqs just ravished them right there. That was really ridiculous.
That's 2 rounds now that's been happening.
Disgusting stuff, especially with what Liquid was going for right there, right? It was heavily coordinated. You got 2 ops that interact with Glaz there, Glaz with the frag grenades, but you're also trying to make sure that they don't hear that rifle so you don't run into any problems when it comes to actually using those smokes, right? So with that being said, Liquid are trying to get a foothold kind of easily around, right? They're going downstairs, trying to work their way up the main stairs, do all of these fairly straightforward, fairly default things, and that's what the Soniqs had planned. They wanted to take the fight to them on every entry point. That was some of the more ease of access locations, like the bottom of that stairwell or study balcony. We didn't even get to see a single thing go down that was an important utility piece to their overall strategy because the Soniqs were so quick to deliver that death blow.
And no attempt from Liquid there as well to potentially change up the attacking strategy, go for a north clear and work themselves in from Trophy Statuary side. Instead, just fully affirmed in the fact that they can beat the setup from Citizen and Geo down there at the bottom of the first floor. And unfortunately, that choice ends up setting them up for failure 2 times in a row inside of this half now, as the Soniqs look to try and claim an ultimate lead if they can get one more round on the board here for a 4-2 scoreline. However, they are going to move back to a bit of a shakier territory as they'll be inside of that Trophy and Statuary site to try and finish off that final round.
All right, well, it looks like we're back to basics when it comes to Liquid. Palu, we on the Lion, ask on the IQ this time. That's been thrown around to a different set of people here. The offensive lineup of Liquid, trying to get access back to the basement via the wine cellars. So get that popped open and then start working their way into the building. We are going to be on a trophy stat defense and, I mean, everything else making quite a bit of sense, especially for the Soniqs camp. We've got double denial when it comes to drones with the Mozzie Mute combo that we're also very accustomed to. Castle working his way in as well, which, I mean, he's a huge benefactor of this particular site. There's so many different ways you can try and break all this up with those castle barricades. We can see a couple of those around like the closet and things along those lines, just making Liquid's life a little bit harder, especially because they don't have any ranged soft breach. So if they want to get rid of something, it's going to have to be a frag grenade or Ask going to get it himself.
They don't have that direct insertion method that they used the last time they attacked this site. That's where Resets had his big moment with the Gara hook play, working itself into Astro there. Nothing like that going to be in play this time. It's a much more normal take going to be coming out from Liquid, but they don't necessarily seem to be losing any momentum with regards to the timing they need to use to get onto the site here. Still proceeding as you might expect, given we're about halfway through the round now, and you can already see them starting to move towards that Astro control. Great lineup here from Ask as well. Just snipes the head right off of Gunnar and starts the real take.
Oh, Ask. Oh, that was an important gunfight right there. Citizen able to get the flank. Nitro Cell out. He's in hot water, and I don't know if he knows it, but he gets Lagonis. Citizen? Oh, so very close to the triple. Liquid, though, they still might have the round, even though Citizen was doing his damnedest to shut it down. It's a 2 versus 3. Geo works in via Wolf. Has a drone on him. Case not down just yet, but it is down on the ground. It's going to be inside of Astro. A quick kill there by Resets. And now Geo going to get it down to the 1 versus 2, but it's covered by Liquid. I believe a flank route coming in potentially. No, that was just a shot over from Astro. Just got the shoulder. A slight little pixel of the Soniqs player, and Liquid pull ahead yet again.
Good adjustments there from Team Liquid. Still a little bit shaky with regards to the flank watch for that overall push there, but they do a much better job than we saw on the previous attempt, where it was mainly Resets' entries that allowed them to win it, and their flank watch did kind of fall to pieces in the middle of that 3rd round attempt there. Able to batten down the hatches a little bit better this time. Just take a stand in Astro, essentially, and win the round out on a gunfight from that point forward. Nicely played by Liquid to even it back up here at 3-0 at halftime.
Yeah, well, Liquid didn't exactly pull ahead, but they have tied things up. I mean, I'll kind of jump ahead there in the script. That's on me. My bad, my bad. Yeah, that's this round. See, it's right here, John. Round 7. My bad. So we'll see if they can get that done, or if maybe Liquid has a different fate in mind for themselves. Could say the same for the Soniqs, but speaking of fates, Citizen, I mean, it really looks like he's going for a statement game here, John. Currently 7-2-2. You can slap 2 more kills and a death on top of that, so technically he's 9-3 right now.
I would say the investment's paying off based on this first game.
Nah, Superstat is pissed, I can tell you. Like, he's just so mad with this investment and what Seth has done with this org. No, he's definitely killing it. You know, especially with trying to switch out Kansan, which for your squad at that moment in time was one of your big clutch factors, right? And he's kind of died off a bit, and that tends to happen with players in any esport, in any sport at all. You know, it can be a million different things. Mental, burnout, whatever it is, right? But, I mean, if you're going to go and try and replace a player that has that much talent, you're going to have to try and go and find somebody that is the best at what they're doing, and that's what they've done. So it's obviously working out up until this point, but the shoe is now on the other foot. We're on offense now for the Soniqs, and what can they do with a heavy amount of coordination?
Let's see here. Citizen's still going to be a big piece of the puzzle here, obviously. On the Nook, seeing what exactly he can potentially sneak up towards against Team Liquid in the opening minute or two of play. More than likely going to be trying to mess with the northern hold from these guys. Grixer, of course, getting some decent intel to play off of here. Not anything that's immediately actionable, but it does force a relocation of the Warden Anchor playing behind the map table there. Can actually catch the relocation position too, but Grixer still doing some good work as well, sniping out a few good pieces of utility, such as those Vulcan canisters that Ask placed down a little bit earlier on in the round. Won't have to try and snipe those out around the 1 minute mark and wait out the timer now. I've already seen some of the toxic bays being deployed too. Sonic so far doing a great job of baiting out this utility, and we're only a minute deep into the round here.
Well, to be expected from Liquid when it comes to their offensive sides is a pretty slow delivery. But for the Sonics, it usually ends up being just that level of coordination coming through and an immediate execution. Doesn't matter what the clock has in store for them. When they're ready, they're going. So, looking to see what they can do. You can see Liquid with their setup right now is definitely throwing a spanner in the works of the Sonics game plan, especially with this position around red. This is one that you don't really work out all that often as a unit, so they're going to have to try and mental math their way out of this, but Nesk made it pretty easy. 1 + 1 equals the guy dead on red stairs, doesn't it? So Citizen going to be able to at least try and assist. Liquid now reeling, trying to get back to site. Geo's found a foothold and potentially a plant spot, but they have to try and deal with Lagonis. He's back and forth on this door, trying to play the vault to the best of his advantage. Don't believe he has any more smokes in his pocket either. He's completely out after he guns down Geo here. Ask will pick up one, and there's no plant being forced from the Sonics. They're practically just waiting to die.
They don't have enough nades here. They need to try and get Citizen in position to dunk another one there into side of Gunval. Already had the 2 from Rexon get used before he had gone down there as well. It's just no capability to force Lagonis out of this position right now. I assume he has either an ADS or something else sitting in there to support his position even further too, so that's another issue that they'd have to deal with. They've been great at clearing out the utility, but they didn't bring enough, it seems, to clear out the hard points deeper into the site, like the gun vault position that Lagonis is using to haunt the rest of the Sonics roster right now. 20 seconds remain here for them to get onto the board, get the plant down onto the ground. Grixer maybe in a valid position to at least attempt for a plant here, but they don't seem confident to go for it. They're going to try to lurk in. Ask sneaks off another snipe against Citizen here, and Lagonis one more swing to win out the round. Very well won by Liquid to bring it back after initially struggling to hold back the tide.
Yeah, I think those are the rounds that we're going to see later on in the tournament Sonics picking up as well, because you can see how much work they got done inside of that, first minute and a half, and then the wheels just came off the wagon. Everyone kind of slowed down, no one really pointing them in a direction where the plant would be successful. Liquid was completely drained of utility. The only utility that they had in those dying moments was a singular impact on the Valkyrie. That doesn't kill anybody. If they were able to try and secure the vault position, that round was more than likely going the Sonics' way, but instead it was kind of just lackadaisical, kind of, those side movements where they really weren't propelling themselves forward that get them punished, and Liquid able to take full breadth of that round. And like I said with the script, man, Team Liquid, take the lead.
Liquid indeed going to flip themselves right back into a winning position here, but Sonics still very much keeping the pressure on, only messing up that round towards the very tail end of it when they had to push in against the anchor hold from Team Liquid. Like I said, great adjustment from them to make sure that they still held on. A lot of patience from Lagonis specifically there to make sure that things did not go awry, but he holds strong, and now Sonics unfortunately have fallen back a little bit here. Some free picks going to end up coming in specifically for Grixer there. We're going to bring the Lion back into the fold to try and lock down the more mobile members of Team Liquid in the more heated moments of this round, but they're also out on the board. Let's see how they go for the initial approach against this hold from TL.
Well, round 8. This is where things could get interesting. We've been seeing a lot of Citizen when it comes to this Sonics game plan so far. Geo kind of picking up some of the pieces when it comes to the tail end of the rounds, and the remaining fraggers and flex players all trying to make the most of it at the current moment, but not as much as we are used to. Some nice shots there from Ask. He's going to tag up Gunner. Won't find the kill, but it'll be enough to send him back to the roof.
Big player the past few rounds. Ask has been instrumental in finding the big turning point kills here for Team Liquid and making sure that they are quick and efficient. And more importantly, that Ask doesn't immediately get traded in the process as well. Just not going for these aggressive one-for-ones that you oftentimes see in the early round. Keeping himself alive into the late round as well. There's some great effectiveness coming out from him over the past few rounds to try and slow the tide from the Sonics. Speaking of which, we are going to see Citizen make his first mark into the building here, taking that tiny bit of pantry control. Doesn't want to push it forward just yet, but you have the double X Kairos pellet down there to potentially give him a little peephole into the kitchen itself. He's probably waiting for that to pop open before he ventures a bit further. Indeed, has it open now, but not confident in the play. So he'll back out from the window, more than likely rejoin his teammates or go for a basement push.
Nothing really there for him unless he wanted to give a frag nade up to the gods. definitely been a thorn trap right on the other side of that, and that would have made for a very awkward gunfight up against Palu. Do you want to die to a Razor Bloom, or do you want to die to somebody with an Uzi? It's really your only two options right there. Resets, though, he's found a different one, and it's going to be die to Gunner instead. Soniqs, they have the lead off kill, and plenty of time to continue this engine, and they will indeed. Geo, potentially with the first Soniqs plant here, it's looking good. They're looking spry, and they're going to get it down. It's a 5 versus 2. Palu and Ass now forced to pick up the pieces. It won't be a flawless round as Palu takes down Citizen, but Grixer guns back quite quickly. Ass very low on HP now. 50 HP in a dream, but Grixer quick to thwart all of those plans. High hopes, but they're going to die out as the Soniqs tie us up again.
Positions get locked down much earlier on this time from the Soniqs, and overall you just have a lighter amount of resistance in the actual site itself due to the way you have to play that one. So Soniqs do not run into that same issue that befell them back on the first round of this half, and have a much easier time holding on to the site as well here. It's going to be a change-up from Team Liquid, though, back downstairs into dining and kitchen to go for the next one, as we still are tied up here 4-all. Overtime is looking incredibly likely if we continue to seesaw like this.
Well, I mean, we are potentially, we're about halfway through if we do go to OT, you know? So, we've a little eclipse that just a little bit, rather, you know? Because we are technically maxing out at 15 rounds.
Like 55%.
Yeah, it's always fun when you end on an odd number, right? Because it's like, well, what part is half? Either way, though, looking over at Liquid's camp, this is really what we wanted to talk about. Nesk just not really getting things done initially here today. 1 and 7. The initial round also just not really doing too much, so you can slap another death on top of that as well. He's gotten a singular kill for the starting map of the tournament. Not exactly something that we're used to seeing. He didn't have the greatest start to Yongshipping either, but by the tail end, it was indeed him and Palu at the top of Liquid again. I know, very, very surprising.
Double soft breach going to come out for the Soniqs this time as well, bringing the buck into the fold for...
Oh, and the Sledge, our relative big boy now, as he's the 3 armor.
So that's going to be interesting to see, just considering the fact that it's not really one or the other. Very rare that we get both in the same exact rounds. Let's see how Soniqs are going to try and use this double-edged soft breach combo to try and get better access to the sites here. Obviously, could just be an insurance policy in the event that Gunner goes down. Rexon can still fulfill the same job from upstairs, but there's probably something a bit more advanced than that in the cards. Citizen wasting no time, by the way, immediately jumping into the action. Oh, and what a play from Geo to come up on his flank there. Geo will go down, but Citizen can now bring him back from the grave. Rexon has also already made impact. Screw the soft breach. He just wanted the gun, apparently, as he pushes directly in through Laundry or Red Hall. The rest of the team is scrambling to try and get back into the site, but no! Grixer just goes huge with a triple kill on the spray instead to end the round outright. I don't even know if we got a minute deep into that one.
Pure, unadulterated aggression from the Soniqs. Extremely punishing. Extremely well done. Yeah, I mean, everything, at least operator lineup-wise, was building up to be something that, you know, you could expect on the top floor. Then kind of take that top floor over, get Sledge breaking up the floor, get Buck making the side angles via Ivy, you know, that drop down into Memorial where you can break open the top of the reinforcements and look in. That's what it was kind of building up to. And, I mean, even for Liquid, if they got drones out or any information on any of those ops, they're probably thinking the same thing. This is probably going to be something, you know, relative to the top floor. We might see some stuff around Pantry, right? They still have the Ace, they still have the Nook, but we're really worried about what's going on in these portions of the map. And that was not it at all. The Soniqs quickly get into the map, not only that, but on the base floor and get into sight. They gun down everyone that's distracted by what's going on with Pantry. Geo's on top of the play as well. He's not just sitting there waiting for a breach to open up. I mean, it was fantastic across the board from the Soniqs. An extremely high level of coordination is what took to win that round.
Much needed tack timeout going to come in on this round from Liquid as well. They are unfortunately getting shut down just due to the pure variety of takes we're now seeing from the Soniqs as well. Definitely not expecting anywhere near the aggression we got out of that previous one, but there is hope on the horizon specifically for this upcoming round on number 10 here. Obviously, the anchors came in huge the last time Liquid played this back at the beginning of the half. They were able to outlast the utility dump from the Soniqs to clear out the defensive utility and eventually win things out in a 2v3 on the actual site here. Soniqs seem to have a very different flair for this one, though.
Please lock it, Geo.
Currently has the Blitz soft locked on a repick, so we will wait and see if that stays the same position for the next 10 seconds or so. We've also got the Gara hook coming back out once again, this time for the Soniqs, of course, on Gunner, and the Candelas for Citizen, so this could be a fun one.
Oh, Poppy Geo, man. Our Mexican menace. He's in, and he's on the German operator, Blitz. We're ready for a freak show, John, and we have one lined up for you on the offense. You ever been to the circus? We got people that can clone each other, ones that flashes with shields, and people that can go on, you guessed it, zip lines that they make themselves out of a gun. So we'll see if the Soniqs can get things done. Hey, we even made it rhyme here for this round. Round 10 on the docket. It could be Soniqs pushing this to match point.
Gunnar already has the Gara hook out and primed, so we'll see what he potentially tries to do with this. Could just be getting himself up onto a balcony, of course, so...
Is Gio going to rush down the guy on main?
I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Gunner's ready. Gunner's like, Gunner is set for something. We just got to wait and see. Here we go. Wait for a second.
Flash the top.
We're going to go in, and they're immediately going to try to take control of this one, and so far it's worked. Resets, though, with the trade. Back on to Gunnar. Stops the play from working out with the guard hook. Rest of the team's going to slow down as a result of that, but at the very minimum, they have been able to work their way in a top stairs less than a minute into the round here, and I don't believe without too much further delay, they should be able to also get study control as well here.
I mean, if I'm being honest, I'll trade an Amaru for a smoke any day of the week. I'm sorry, Gunnar. I'm sorry. Your life just doesn't matter that much in comparison to Lagonis here in main stairs control.
He was basically the dice roll operator here anyway.
Yeah, really. He really was. I mean, like, you know, every good play in Siege needs a martyr. He just happened to be the one for this case. So
it does put a bit of a sour on the rest of this push, as they don't have the alternate angle to push from on north side now. They don't have that extra pinch. That does mean Liquid has a lot more extra security to play through on the back of the site, but still, Soniqs have this staging ground, and they have plenty of extra time to suss out the intel too, so there's still plenty of ways they can figure out how to work past this.
Yeah, the worrisome thing is now is how do you play around the mirrors? You have this foothold, but more than likely all those mirrors are played in towards your position and know what you're going to be, rudimentarily going for, right? They already know where those lines are looking towards, so really Liquid's probably already thinking ahead and going, okay, when are Soniqs going to try and adjust and get somebody over here to this red stairs? Because like you said, it's pretty one-fronted right now, which is not exactly what you want when it comes to Siege. If you have a one-front assault, that probably means you lose the round, unless you just outgun literally everyone, which doesn't tend to happen all that often at a professional level. People usually tend to have very comparable gun skills. Obviously, some are not built like others, like Citizen and what we've been talking about here today, but doesn't mean that these rounds couldn't still be close. Looks like Gio's going to have a soft wall here, and I mean, if he just took that little pop shot through the wall, be able to kill him, but obviously has no idea that Nesk is actually in this location. Resets with a fantastic kill. Nesk actually might have one here. If we do see Citizen swinging through, I don't think he's actually going to end up challenging that. Citizen still staying on the window. Where's Rexon at? He's actually going to be helping out Grixer here inside of Study, but with 15 seconds remaining, they have got to hop to.
Just this deeper site setup seems to be plaguing the Soniqs. This is 2 rounds in a row now where they've really struggled to take it apart. Maybe I spoke too soon, though, as it's suddenly down to 1 for Team Liquid. Resets, a hero moment potentially to be deployed here. He'll go for it, but no! The case planter instead denies it, and another round goes up on the board for the Soniqs.
We just trust each other to win. You guys fucking suck.
Oh, sorry, I didn't laugh at anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So, yeah, I mean, amazing round there from the Soniqs, 6-4. And yes, extremely well done across the board. There was really no other way for them to try and fight that off, especially because of the way we were talking about the mirror windows, right? They know what their moves are more than likely going to be, so the Soniqs' only case that they win is if they're able to wrap around, either get up red stairs, kill the guy 90, and try and get in through the top red door. Get in through bust, try and get a plant on the vault. That's always going to be your safest bet when it comes to that site, and it works out in spades for the Soniqs. Extremely well done, and they're looking to take this first map up against Liquid.
Let's see if they can get it done. 2 opportunities here between this round and the next, otherwise we still end up in overtime. Important to note as well here, the Soniqs looking to close this series out in clean fashion. If they're able to do so, that's more points going up on the board for themselves in a 2-0 victory. We'll have to wait and see how this all ends up playing out, and how many points they'll be able to claim here by winning it inside of regulation instead, should that come to pass. For Team Liquid, though, it's looking very similar to how we've played these sites in the past. Not going to be able to go, of course, for AVG directly, but they can go across the hall over to Trophy and Statuary, or maybe, just maybe, they can hold on for at least one more round coming up here.
I can tell you this right now, if we don't see anything out of Nesk for the remainder of this series is done. You can just wrap it up with a bow. He's 1-10. Remember, there's an extra death on that from the first round where the stats did not get calculated because we had a rehost. So Nesk just not playing extremely well right now. Would love to see him start warming up. One of my favorite players of all time, my personal GOAT, as one of the players I used to watch all of the time to try and learn how to play Rainbow Six Siege back when I was absolutely terrible. Now I just suck, so that's a little bit different, right? But either way, for the Soniqs, they're looking to take it to them. 40 seconds in here, not too much to say about it, minus the drone game. This is something that's been very beneficial beneficial from the Soniqs early on inside of these rounds, and they've made very good on their promise throughout this entire game. That's the key thing that I've noticed, is even though they've worked Citizen in, the drone game, the coordination, it is not lacking.
Certainly not the case. Now it's more of a question of how will it continue to hold its strength against some of the other teams in this tournament as well when they get deeper and deeper into it. Will it continue to be as effective on other maps? That's another question. Clearly, the Soniqs have prepared things a bit more than we had seen at the last event. This was a topic we talked about last night quite a bit as well, that the map pools for teams are going to be a little bit of a red herring if you're just looking at the stats, since we had like a full 3-month break between the last event and this one. So teams have had plenty of time to theorize not only new strategies, but of course develop their play on new maps here. Getting deeper into the round though, Nesk nearly getting caught from a grenade down below, but it looks like it goes away from just at the last second here. Ask ready for the challenge in the meanwhile. Coming in over towards Study. He shuts down one. Nesk finds another one. Geo will be able to trade out onto Lagonis, but it's so detached from all the action. Nesk is down on the ground in the meanwhile, but Palu still defending things quite nicely. He finds Citizen, brings it down to only Gunnar as well as Geo now for the rest of this round in a 2v4.
Well, Geo's found a foothold on the site. Just have one at the back of Trophy, but so much cannon fodder sent back and forth. Finally, somebody will land the shots. Gunnar will take down Palu, and this opens up the Vel just enough for them. Especially with the time remaining, Soniqs have enough to be able to try and get something positive going for themselves. I love that play there from Geo. Sits the Selma down. It's such a loud piece of utility. Gets that drone going as well. Repositions it for the dead players. You can see Rex on the drone right now. He's going to be on the calls for this situation. Now the plan's going to go down, and that's why Geo repositioned that cam. They need comms to be able to watch that other angle. A nice kill there from Gunnar. Nobody can stop the plan. It's a 2 versus 2. Ask has to win this gunfight, and he will. Gunnar now has to try and pick up the pieces in the 1 versus 2. He's got a perfect gun for this. The ARX, all he has to do is tag these people, more than likely down them in a bullet or two, depending on if it's Nesk or Ask. And through the rotation hole, man, it feels like a grand final, and we're only in the group stage here. Gunnar back and forth, and they line up. The Soniqs get the first map. Citizen 1-0 with the Soniqs to start with the squad.
And looking to pop it off as well. Beautifully played by the Soniqs. A bumpy first round for the team, but they immediately rebound and continue to do so throughout the rest of this map. As we get towards the tail end of it as well, it is seemingly shutdown after shutdown, with the members of the Soniqs taking control and making a statement here against the second place finish from the previous major.
Absolutely insane stat line past that. Grixer, 10 kills, passed up Citizen at the very last moment. So Grixer still playing fantastic. Super excited to see how this series ends up